watch adult Link very carefully here. Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you can see
totally.
he's
Oh,
crushed into the ground. So we want to find where that bug is. So this is
okay.
where we're going to get to, is that we are on a wild goose chase.
Oh my God. Okay, one point cutscenes also set commands in a similar way that other cutscenes apparently
But
do.
a totally different syntax, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you open zplayeractor.c?
Oh boy.
Okay. Description, link. Scroll down to the bottom of that file.
I'm gonna guess. Oh my, 16,000 lines of code in here.
And co-link is child link.
Hello and welcome back to a special co-op code spelunking episode. Here with me, I have the awesome Sauraen, who has helped out in the past. Sauraen, take it away.
Yeah, so my name is Sauraen. I have been doing Ocarina of Time music hacking since like 2014. I also worked on Triforce% a few years ago, which was this thing with arbitrary code execution at GDQ. I've also worked on a lot of the tools for the N64 for Ocarina of Time community, both for Triforce% and then otherwise. We were looking at some cutscenes, and we were looking at some actor cues, which are telling an actor what to do. There's also player cues, which are for Link. And Ben asked me what a good one of those would be. And I thought of one off the top of my head that is interesting because it is a bug in the game. And hopefully we will be able to see the bug. But then I just spent the last few minutes looking for it myself, and I couldn't find it. So this will actually be a joint code spelunking. Let's get into it.
Yes.
How does that sound?
All right, I am very excited. Let's go.
Okay, so in Zora's River,
Okay.
when you play Zelda's Lullaby on the Triforce in front of the waterfall, as Child Link or Adult Link, there's a little cutscene that plays. It parts the waterfall to open the entrance to Zora's domain.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bug that you can see in the game that when Child Link plays that, as the camera pulls back, Child Link starts floating a little bit.
Oh, I
And
didn't see that.
Adult Link, if you do the same thing, Adult Link gets sort of crushed into the ground. Actually, I have the game up. Oh, by the way, since we're talking about it, this is an entrance cutscene. So the first time you're ever in an area, it plays a little cutscene. Those are handled differently than most cutscenes in the game. Okay, so let's go here. Oh yeah, so it's not a Triforce, it's this little thing. So I want you to look at Link very carefully while the camera pulls back here.
I'm not sure I saw
It's
it.
kind of hard to see for young Link, but you can see it actually better for Adult Link here. So let's do Adult Link in the same place. This is a vanilla feature. This is actually in the game, but it's in Japanese. The extra text and stuff is from the modding community.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe Child Link, it sort of fixes the issue, and that's why they didn't notice. But let's or maybe this copy, because this is not the vanilla game. This is HackerOT, which is basically a community version. But I don't think anybody would have fixed this. So watch Adult Link very carefully here. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
So you can
totally.
see he's crushed into the ground. Right? So, okay, so we want to find where that bug is. First of all, where are we going to find Zora's River? So what I want you to do is pull up a web browser.
A browser.
And yes, and go to wiki.cloudmodding.com/OOT. So this is the pre-decomp resource for this stuff. And there's a couple of pages that you will really need.
Okay.
So one of them is scene table. So if you go into the search box at the upper left, it says search, type in scene table. There'll be a little drop down. Yeah. And then for NTS, well, there you go. It's already there.
Okay.
You have spot 03. Zora's
okay.
River.
So out of curiosity, really quick. So when you mentioned Zora's River and Zora's domain, I was actually going to just see if I could find it over here within the scene table.
I guess that's another way. Yes.
This is what I'm familiar with, right? So like I'm just kind of used to this. So okay, so we're looking
that
for...
did not exist when I started, so that's why.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But for actors, that might be also more helpful. That's going to be the next thing that we do with the website. So it's still helpful to have it up. So this is in Zora's River. I was just going to Zora's domain in order to get the exit that's sooner.
Right. Okay.
So you want to open up spot 03_scene, and you're going to need both the scene file and, well, there's 2 rooms. So that's another thing. So spot 03_. So there's a room 0.c and a room 1.c.
Okay.
So in this scene, when you go across the bridge, that's like 2/3 of the way through Zora's River, it does a room transition.
Oh wow.
So it doesn't have both, and you can see a little lag spike in game when it happens, but it's pretty seamless.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
So, okay, so this is a bug in the cutscene. So cutscenes are stored. Well, there's, as we'll find out, there's multiple places cutscenes can be stored, but cutscenes are not stored in room files. They're stored in the scene file. So if you go to the scene file and you search for cutscene, you will see that there are no cutscenes.
Oh, okay.
So that cutscene for the camera pulling back there is not in this file. So now we have to find where that is. So a lot of the cutscenes are in the scene files that they belong to, but not all of them. Some of them are in actors, and there are a couple of other weird places that they can be put. So the next thing would be to say, okay, what actor would it make sense for that cutscene data to be in? What do you think?
I mean, Link makes sense. There could be some invisible actor there. I don't know. I'm just like brain dumping right now. So in those positions in which Link stands, where you pull out the ocarina and you get that little chime, there could be some like hidden actor there that's checking if you're in a specific spot, then hey, this is like an ocarina spot.
Yes. So if that was our theory, well, first of all, we have to find, as I've described to you off of this video, actor lists are in rooms rather than in the scene. So we have 2 rooms. So we have to first figure out which room is which.
Okay.
Because it's not going to just tell you, oh, this is the east one and this is the west one.
Right.
So we got to use context clues to figure out which one is which. So let's start with that first header on each one, right? Okay. So you have that header, which will be child. Well, you tell me. So
this
how are we
going
to figure out
child day?
Mm-hmm.
Here,
and then you have
there is no
headers.
child night. There is a Link day. There is no Link night. Is how I would parse this.
Yes, that is correct. And you want to go to the other room and check that it's the same thing?
Yep. Okay. Child day. Child night, Link day, Link night. Yeah. So that checks out.
So the time passes in Zora's River. So that's why there's no separate night scene setup. It wouldn't really make sense for if you go in the scene during the day and then it turns to night, it's still the day setup. So if you go into the scene when it's night, then it'll be the night setup. That wouldn't really make sense.
Okay.
But so let's just look at, we're going to eventually want the adult version because adult is where he's squished into the ground. But for now, we're just going to figure out which room is which. Let's use the child version. So let's look at that room 0 header, right, the one on screen right there, and then the room 1 header. And why don't you look through them and tell me if you notice anything that tells you which. You don't have to go to any of them. Just looking at this header and looking at the header for room 1.
Just looking at this.
Just looking at this header and looking at the one for room 1. Tell me if you can figure out which one is which room.
Okay. This is room 0, and what? On the right side is room 1. Okay, so they got the same echo settings. They have the same room behavior. They have the same skybox, same time. Okay, this is a room shape, an object list, an actor list. I don't know what these first parameters are. I would guess the number of things, but 66 actors sounds weird.
Well, why don't you click on the scene command actor list and see what that number is?
Okay. Oh yeah, number of actors and the list itself.
Okay. So now, now with that information?
Well, there's a lot of stuff in that first half of the river. enemies, the dude eating the seeds, and all that stuff. So based off of that, there is far less stuff when you're playing the ocarina at that waterfall. So I would guess that based off of that, room 1 is in fact the second half of that river.
Exactly. So there's no way that there's 66 actors in the second half and only 12 actors in the first half. There's cuckoos, there's a bunch of grass patches, there's rocks, there's a bunch of invisible rupees in the water, there's all the grottos, there's rock circles on top of the things, there's the floating heart piece, all those things, right?
Yeah.
So room 1 is our room.
Okay.
So you can close room 0, we don't need that.
All right.
And now we want to find so you have a hypothesis that there would be an invisible actor where he plays the ocarina. So why don't you go to that actor list, and now we have a bunch of actors, right?
Okay.
So let's figure out.
Okay, that
if you don't know what all of them are, we'll find out what they are.
Us talking earlier, I learned that wonder items are invisible things that you can pick up in the world, like when you climb the chain link drawbridge and you jump off, there are rupees there. So these would be hidden items. Ocarina tag, okay. So what I'm currently looking at are Ocarina tag and Wonder Talk. Because if Wonder item is I found an invisible thing, I don't know if we talk to an invisible thing, but maybe the Ocarina triggers that, but probably it's this Ocarina tag actor.
So how are you gonna test that hypothesis? So do you have an actor table that you can look at the definitions of these and see? The thing is, I think that the definitions are going to say it goes to the file zen ocarina tag, and that's not going to tell you what it is.
Okay.
So this is where I would pull up cloud modding again and pull up the actor list, and it will tell you what all of the actors are.
Okay, let me... Oh, it has like descriptions for what those actors are?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, I need to use that.
And all of the parameters for them, which is also important.
Okay. Let's take a look at that other... Let's go to that actor table.
Yeah, so go in the search. Table. This is scene table, so look up actor table. And then on the right, you see that thing you want NTSC 1.0. The other ones, or debug actually. This is based on debug, so you can use that one.
All right, and so then we have this
EN Ocarina tag with Ocarina spelled OK.
Yeah.
By the way, in defense of Japanese speakers, you know how you were saying like Idan YDAN is the Deku tree, and it's short for some wood or some word that starts with a Y, and then Danjin.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, they spelled dungeon wrong in all of these places. So when they write something that looks like English, this is Romaji. This isn't English. They're not writing the English word dungeon. They are writing the Japanese word danjin, which means dungeon. But that in Romaji, that is DA. Because if it was DU, it would be like dungeon.
Right. Right. Yeah, I got a comment.
So it's not a misspelling.
Right.
That is how you would write the Japanese word with English characters.
Right. Somebody posted a comment about that, and after reading, it's like, oh my god, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So you're going to need to remove the actor part of that and just start with the EN. Yeah.
Okay. So we have an Ocarina tag.
So why don't you click on it?
Open the Temple of Time.
So not a lot of info there, but there is one piece of info that you put there.
Okay. Is the actor for the Ocarina play spot.
So there is actually another list that you wouldn't necessarily know about this, but in your search box, put in, what is it called? Actor params?
Actor
what is
params.
It called? Actor list variables. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So now in this one, you'll see there's a lot more. Search for your EN Ocarina tag again on this one. All right. Oh, and there is more info, right? So Ocarina music staff spot. And now...
Okay, so it changes. There's like metadata on it to change
Right,
its
so-
behavior based off of where it is.
So you want to go back to the code? So the rightmost number here.
Oh, this
This
what
is the
these
actor
are.
parameter. Yes.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
every single actor, you said, oh, it's probably a bunch of bits where the bits mean different things.
Mhm.
Yes, but every single actor interprets those bits differently.
Makes sense. Wow.
So usually it's like, you know, the first n bits mean this, and the second, you know, the next n bits mean this, but that mapping is different for every single actor.
Got it.
So it could just be like, for a simple one, it could just be always 0. It could be just like either 0 or 1 for the 2 different versions of it. Like for trees, there's like 3 versions of the tree.
Gotcha.
But this is like encoding a bunch of stuff. So
Okay.
we can go back and we can see 7F8 and we can do the bit math and say, okay, so and FC00.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, this is how they check. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
So then probably in this Ocarina tag. Oh,
Yeah.
and there's cutscene data. Okay.
right.
Okay. All right.
So VS Code is spoiling things a little bit for you.
This really is code spelunking right now. Okay. All right. So then let me just poke around a little bit. If there's something. Okay, never mind. I thought I was gonna see this, that it would pull from its like actor
Almost.
params.
So go to the init function in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is where it pulls out the parameters, right? So
and this is negating all of those
it's not that.
bits?
It's the next 3 lines.
Aha. Okay. Get you.
It's just a
Okay.
macro for the bit thing. So it's like
Okay, so it knows specifically to pull from these very specific bits from params. Okay. So
yeah, and params
so
is that number.
Yeah, so params, if we go back here, params is this.
Mhm.
And so every actor may or may not have param. Well, I guess it's guaranteed to have params, even if it's all 0.
Yeah.
But the actors are responsible for pulling out required or expected data from those params. Okay. So this Ocarina tag needs to understand which type it is. Yeah, Ocarina tag needs to understand what kind of spot is it, because it can change based off of where it is. When it's defined, I think it's here. No. When it's defined, we give it all these bits here, and then as it's running, or as it initializes more specifically, it pulls those params out to find its own type. Okay, this is really cool.
Yeah, so what that means is there's 6 bits on the right for which switch flag, then 4 bits above that for the Ocarina song, and then 6 bits for type.
Okay.
So
got it.
if you want, you can, you know, take that 7F8 or whatever it is and pull them out. But I don't think we actually need to do that.
Right.
Because we're looking for the cutscene data that this ultimately triggers.
Yeah.
So why don't you, this is not the longest actor. This is maybe let's see, I have it up on my end. It's how many 100 lines of code? 341 lines of code.
Okay.
So why don't you find in this file, you saw that there's a cutscene data associated with it. Why don't you find how this plays a cutscene?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just check. Okay, not cutscene flag, but there's a cutscene trigger based on this type. Okay, so here's the switch. Which type are we looking at? We're looking at 1. So we set a flag.
I would suggest for the moment, try not to get too lost in the logic of like exactly how this decides which cutscene to trigger. Just like what happens, what 2 lines of code is it running in order to play a cutscene?
Oh, and CS context is the cutscene context. Oh, so we go into the state, find a cutscene, poke into the cutscene context, and set a script.
Hmm.
Then we say, hey, a cutscene just triggered? Okay.
Yes. So when we've been talking about, cutscenes that are in scenes, these steps of setting the script and setting cutscene trigger happen somewhere in the scene logic when it's going through and parsing the scene, like headers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when this is a cutscene in an actor, it's just the actor just does this.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about like where it is or whatever.
Okay.
So you can see there's, case 2 it does this, case 4 does this, case 6 it does this, and there's different values. There's different values for the script that's getting put in.
Right.
Why don't you find where that script that you have selected, why don't you find where that is? What file are you in?
Okay, so this is okay, so this actor has a cutscene data file associated with it. I assume then it can play very many different cutscenes, or just the one?
Yes, so you would assume, but there are only 2 cutscenes in here. So this is
Okay.
where we're going to get to, is that
Dream.
we are on a wild goose chase. This ZEN Ocarina tag plays cutscenes for other places in the game after you play Zelda's Lullaby or whatever, but not for this place in Zora's River. It's not either of these. You can figure that out by looking at some of your CS misc commands, right? So you have the first one. There's 2 cutscenes in this file, right? The first one involves windmill stuff, Kakariko Village drain well, and then windmill fast, right?
Oh, yeah,
So it's not that one. And then the next one, there's a Triforce flash, which obviously is not happening in
there's Door of
in
Time.
BGM Door of Time, right? So you know where that is.
Okay.
So it's not either of those. So
Okay.
there's some more choices here, right? You have case 6, where it is playing a Spot 02 scene cutscene,
Oh.
but Spot 02 is not Zora's River.
Right.
That's a cutscene that's stored in a scene for, I forget what Spot 02 is, but it was one of the other ones. So it's not this, and actually earlier, just like 5 or 10 minutes ago, you said, oh yeah, we're in case 1. What does case 1 do? It just sets a flag,
Right.
right? It sets a switch flag. So what that means is, so switch flags are a concept in the game engine,
Okay.
where you have, I think it is like 31 of them or something like that in each room. And this is like, you press a switch or you defeat all the enemies and then a chest spawns or whatever. There's the enemies or the switch are setting a switch flag, and then the chest is listening for the switch flag and doing that. So when we have, and so you see that the switch flag is even a parameter. So this Ocarina tag, you could put in a bunch of scenes, and in each scene you could have it request Zelda's Lullaby or request whatever, and then it would just set a flag when it has been run.
Okay.
So there must be some other actor in this scene, which is then listening for that flag, and then is going to trigger the cutscene.
And it has to be in an actor? Like, it can't... I guess scenes don't necessarily have their own, like, update logic. Wow, okay.
Scenes don't have update. Scenes do have a draw function.
Right.
But, and if you were doing like modding or whatever, you could add code to the draw function, which did cutscene, whatever. But that's not how the game engine works.
Okay,
so
in general, it has to be an actor. Like, if it's checking for something like this, it's got to be an actor within the scene, not necessarily the scene itself checking for this thing.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to put code that's, unless it's just like 2 lines of code for some weird special case, you wouldn't want to put code for this, like Link opens a door in this scene. You wouldn't want to put that in the game engine, in generic scene parsing logic. And you wouldn't want to put it in Link's actor, because that code is going to be in memory all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever Link is, so basically the only option is for it to be in an actor.
Okay.
So let's go back into the actor list. This is as far as I got in 10 minutes while you were setting up your OBS and everything. I was like, oh, it's not in there. It's got to be in one of the other ones.
Okay.
So
I'm very curious about this Wonder Talk. I'm going to
yes.
poke into this. Okay, there's
why don't you read the description at the top of it first?
Let's see. Checkable spot. Oh, okay. So any spot where Navi turns green and hovers over it is a wonder talk. Which checks out.
Yes.
If wonder is to mean this thing is invisible, then wonder talk is Navi flies over to it, you can focus on it and potentially interact with it.
Okay. Does this sound like the kind of thing that would be having cutscenes in it?
That it would have cutscenes in it.
Well, you can search for cutscene in this file and see if you get anything.
Okay. So
Or
there is
CSCTX.
apparently nothing, yeah. Yeah, I was looking for the flag itself, and then I figured, okay, well, 39, it might just be like en mag. Like it just checks the number
Yep,
4,
yep.
right? But calling
Yeah.
this function. So I
But
figured-
don't worry about that for a minute. So, what happens when you walk over to that? You saw it on screen twice just a half hour ago. What happens when you walk over to that Ocarina spot?
I don't
me to
know.
pull it up
I don't
again?
remember if Navi hovered over.
Navi
it or anything.
does hover over it.
Okay, so Navi does. It is a green
So this is
wonder
this
talk.
is
Okay.
the Navi hovering over the spot. So the Zelda's Lullaby check is one actor, invisible actor at that spot.
Okay.
The Navi hovering over it is another invisible actor at the same spot.
Wow.
So it's not either of those. So go back to your list of actors in the room. So you're gonna have to learn a bit more.
all right.
So we know what wonder item is. We know what Ocarina tag. We know what wonder 2 is. We have Obj Murray.
Yeah, this
I
is
knew
also in the
Japanese better.
same position.
No, the Y is much higher.
You're right. Okay. So
100
is
units higher.
that- is there
So
anything
why don't
else
you
we
look
can
up what
say?
that is?
Yeah, I'm quickly seeing if there's anything else that looks like it could be in the same
Well,
range.
what else? So there's River Sound, which is probably not it. There's
Mhm.
GS, which you wouldn't know. There's Spot 03 Taki, which sounds a little interesting. There's Item 00, which I can... You might know at this point what Item 00 is.
I do
And
not.
then there's ENSW. So why don't you look
Okay.
each of these up in the thing and just look at the description for what they are.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, fish, bugs, butterflies. The spawner for fish, bugs, and butterflies. Okay, so probably not
So
that.
probably not that.
What is SW? Skull, Walchilla, and Skull Skultillas. Okay, so not that.
So there's a gold Skulltula on the river, on the ladder in the river.
Okay, I don't know what item 00 is. But...
Well, you're going to be seeing that a lot.
Okay, all right, collectibles. Yeah, okay, yeah. Those
that's
are
all of those.
actually everywhere. Okay.
Yes.
Spot 03 Taki. Sounds interesting. Okay, it's the waterfall itself. Okay.
Yes. So does
That's
that sound like
interesting.
that might be the kind of thing that has a cutscene?
Which has
In
a
it?
switch flag in it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you
But
are
why
a
don't you just look
file?
up the... Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is a file, and
Mm-hmm.
what was it? This sets that 39.
Mm-hmm.
Zora's River Waterfall. If we in it, I'm just gonna look for that raw. Okay, there are no 39s in here. Okay, so it's checking for a switch flag. How does the switch flag get set? From the params. Okay, so this... Alright. This is looking for a specific switch flag,
Mm-hmm.
which is this.
And the switch flag is the lower... It would be the lower, like, 3F, I guess it is. So if you AND that with 3F, you would get 38. And now if you look down at your object in Ocarina tag, if you AND that with 3F, you also get 38.
Okay.
So that lines up.
Oh, wow. Alright. So this spot 03 Taki, man, how... I'm like starting to understand, like, holy crap, like this, what a system this is, that they just get like binary data and in and of themselves are supposed to understand how to interpret that. But then we have Ocarina Tag and Taki need to line up to the same thing, right? Like Ocarina Tag needs to set the right flag, and Taki needs to parse this to be what the flag is.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Okay.
they probably just had a spreadsheet for
Right.
every room, what are each of the flags meaning, and most of them would
Okay.
be empty.
Okay, so if this flag is detected, we start opening and we start a 1-point cutscene. I think
Yes.
MZX Rules had pointed out that this was for like treasure chests dropping.
Yes.
Um,
So we
okay.
have stumbled into another part of the code base here. Not all cutscenes in Ocarina of Time are the kind of cutscenes that we've been looking at, where you
Right.
have a
Right.
CS commands and you have a list of them. There are also these 1-point cutscenes, which are basically sort of like live created. There isn't some preset data. But
Right.
I haven't actually worked with these in detail. So we're going to want to look and see what happened, not necessarily how that's implemented, but see what else. Because like you can see all the parameters to 1-point cutscene in it. None of those have contents about, oh, this is where the camera should move, or this is what Link should be doing, or whatever.
Right.
So
Okay.
no need to get into the details, but
Yeah.
somehow at some point more information has to be given to the cutscene system from this
Right.
actor.
Yeah. So
because that's not going to be enough information.
yeah,
So
this would be a good.
let's figure out how that
time.
happens.
Sorry to jump in, but this would be a good time to at least for me to remind myself, what is the goal here, right? Like we're specifically looking for how Link gets crunched into that floor.
Is there any other 1-point cutscene related stuff in this? No, there isn't.
Let's see
Okay. What are the parameters to that init function mean?
Passing the state, some numbers.
What are all of those numbers?
Cutscene ID.
Oh, cutscene ID.
Really big ID.
Okay. So cutscene ID is what's interesting to me. So let's see what it does with that.
With the
CSID.
cutscene
Let's see what happens to CSID. Subcam CSID. Okay, great.
Subcam.
And see if
Yeah,
there's
we
any
set
other
info
uses of
to
that.
This. Oh, we do a switch. Okay, so that number should exist in here.
Maybe.
There it is.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, 1-point cutscenes also set commands in a similar way that other cutscenes apparently
But
do.
a totally different syntax, right?
Yeah.
We have a 1-point CS action ID. We have a init field player. Okay. And player CS action 8. Then a little bit later in time, I guess, I'm assuming that these are some keyframes in some point. This must be the camera information of where the camera is.
Okay.
Is like the numbers here. If you keep scrolling down to another CX action IDs, a bunch of different CS action IDs, and then there is another player CS action.
Yeah.
So we have player CS action. It starts at 8, then it changes it to, what was it? The CX action ID, but then there's the player ones. So the player is Link, right? So this is what's telling Link to move. So we have player CS action 8 and player CS action 59.
Right.
So this is where we're finally getting to something is telling Link to move or to do an animation, and for whatever reason it's the wrong one.
Yeah. So my questions now are like, okay, is Link listening for this in his, like, whatever the heck his file is?
Yeah. So why don't you open zplayeractor.c?
Oh boy. I'm expecting
I think it's
a massive file.
Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, yeah. Okay,
there's a
they made it
zplayerr.
zplayerr. Yeah, it's just that. Okay. Description: Link.
It's a pretty good description.
And then you want to scroll down to the bottom of that file.
I'm gonna guess. Oh my, 16,000 lines of code in here.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So you said you wanted to look at Link's state machine.
Yeah, and you said he was complicated, and I believed you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Nintendo has been, like, I don't know if they to what extent they completely rewrite things, but to some extent, the Link state machine started in Ocarina of Time and has been just versions of the same code all the way through Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
So like obviously they've rewritten lots of pieces of it. So I don't really know if there is like, and if you can really see like by the time we get to Wind Waker, if you can really see, oh, this part is the same as from Ocarina of Time.
Right.
But
like what remnants still exist from this era of Link.
But it's like the concepts of how they do things here are kind of, I mean, it's how you make a complicated actor.
Yeah,
but in any
it gets
case,
there over time.
Yeah. There is a table of cutscene actions for Link in this file. And the last time I looked at this, none of this was documented. So I have no idea what this is going to be called.
Okay.
So you're going to have to just... Okay, you found it.
Found something.
Yeah.
Okay, it's used 3 times.
You found that. No, that's it. Co-link.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's a few of these.
Okay, so it's only referenced 3 times. Is this an SQ to CS action map?
Right. So, remember player cues.
Remember what?
Normal cutscenes. Remember player cues in normal cutscenes.
I hadn't actually dug into that yet. I've seen like the miscellaneous cues and how that links up with
But you saw the miscellaneous.
Yeah.
You saw player and actor.
Yeah, I saw player, but like I think there was an actor one too, but I didn't dig into those in particular.
Well, this is where it goes. The player cues, the actor cues, there's a slot. And player is always slot 0, and then actors, there's slots 1 through 10. And then there's a cue ID, and then there's like a position.
Okay.
And so there's several layers of indirection here, but this table is converting the cue IDs into cutscene actions.
Wow.
So you can see they're sort of one-to-one-ish sometimes, and then there's negative signs and missing ones and all that, and that's because, the game was developed. And so they did that so that they could keep, they could make a cutscene a year before the game came out, and then not have to go back and change that cutscene.
Wow.
When they continue to develop Link. So that just has a cue ID, whatever, and then if they need to change that to a different cutscene action, then they can change that.
Wow, okay.
But, so this is the mapping from normal cutscene cue IDs to cutscene actions, but we already have a cutscene action.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need to worry about the cue ID 51.
Okay.
We want to go to the next, instance of that. This is what happens when this is your, this isn't even named, D80858, whatever. This is what happens when this cutscene action is triggered. Because you can see on the right, all the comments are cutscene action in order.
Okay.
Right.
So that points to this, but
it's going to be doing this. So it's an animation, right?
Okay. And at this point, this name isn't. It doesn't seem like it's linking up with what we've seen before.
This is like link animation data, so you're not going to find that in anything before.
Okay.
But the important part is you can actually read it right here. Odoroki means orchestra or music, something like that. And co-link is child link.
So adult Link is being assigned child Link animation, which is what shrinks his legs. Are you serious?
Yes. So the way animations work in Ocarina of Time for any actor is that you can animate the position of the root bone, and then you can animate all the rotations of all the other bones, but you can't animate positions of the other bones. So if I want to move the arm up, you have to rotate this and rotate this.
Right.
Right. So, but the root bone, which is in the pelvis, you can just drag that wherever. So, for any other actor, if you just applied, child Link's pelvis is down here and adult Link's pelvis is up here. And so if you map the child Link actions to adult Link, it'll move his pelvis down. But then Link, unlike all other actors, has a system in Z Player that puts his feet on the ground. So if he's on a slope, it doesn't just have his feet where one is clipping into the ground and the other is hovering the ground. It fixes the animation in real time so that the one foot is higher and the other foot is lower. So when his pelvis gets moved down, it brings his feet to be back up at the ground level. And so it looks like he's squatting or sort of crouching there.
Poor Link is just being like mangled in that situation, being shoved down and his legs going up. That sounds terrifying. Poor
So
Link.
have you figured out, but we see what is happening is that it's playing child Link animations on adult Link, but there's a meta issue of why it's doing that, which is what the actual bug is here. And this will require you to think about all the stuff that we've looked at so far.
All right, so we have discovered that the spot in front of Zora's fountain, or sorry, Zora's waterfall, there are multiple actors there. Those actors, so there's one that marks the spot as a wonder talk, which means Navi can look at it, you can focus on it. There's another one for the Ocarina, this Ocarina tag, I believe. There was
And the
another one.
Ocarina tag does what after you play the song?
The Ocarina tag sets a flag after we play the song.
And then what happens based on the flag being set?
The waterfall plays a cutscene, and it tells Link to. I was gonna say
Well,
it
it triggers
tells Link
the
to do
one-point
this
demo.
animation, but yes,
Well,
it triggers
it
a
triggers
one-point
the
demo.
1-point demo.
Right. Okay.
And then
so
the
the
1-point
waterfall
demo
triggers 1-point demo.
And then the 1-point demo has a command for Link, which gives him a cutscene action, CS action. And the CS action tells him to change to this animation, which is a child Link animation.
Right. So it's that like
So,
this area of
what's-
Zora's River doesn't have the concept of whether he's an adult or a child.
You would need some code in either one of two things. You could either have a different 1-point demo for child versus adult Link, that the waterfall actor checks if Link is child or adult and triggers the one demo or the other demo. And then have one demo have this animation and the other demo have... So the other piece we didn't really get to see. I thought it might be right next to it, but there is a correct animation for adult Link for this.
Okay.
So,
And
or the other thing would have had to be that in the cutscene action like handler, there's a way to make a custom code handler, so it doesn't just trigger an animation, but like it runs custom code, and you could insert a check for adult versus child, and have it dispatch to the two correct animations.
wow.
That would be the fix for
Man.
adult Link getting crushed.
Oh my god. Okay. This.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, it feels great having somebody here to guide me a little bit.
Hey,
There's a lot.
listen!
Yes, I had my very own Navi for this episode. Thank you, Sora. Thank you so much. Whew. I think I say this literally every single episode, but this is a lot. There are so many systems here, and I think that's like the overarching thing that's kind of happening here is because this game is so complex, there are so many systems at play here that all this really is a system didn't quite notify another system to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, like there's like 3 different levels of abstraction that we're going through here, and somehow in translation between those, the information of, oh wait a minute, this needs to change based on child versus adult got lost. You know,
Yeah.
a different programmer made the Link actions from
Oh, yeah.
the programmer who made the waterfall cutscene, and the waterfall person just said, oh, this is the right Link action, okay, let's trigger that, and then nobody checked for, oh wait a minute, this needs to be different, this is a child only action, we need that. So
Yeah. Man, thanks again, Sauraen. Feel free to plug whatever it is you want to plug here. Where can people find you on the internet?
I am not really trying to be a content creator. I do have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sauraen. If you can spell my name, you can find me everywhere. But yeah, I do like I'm working on microcode stuff lately, which is the basically graphics shaders kind of stuff for Ocarina of Time or other N64 games. But that's going kind of slowly, but and there's a lot of work just on performance optimizations, which only Kaza Emanuar cares about, nobody else cares about. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, Ben.
Yeah, thanks again. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope y'all can take something away from this. If not, a little bit more nostalgia for Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and figuring out through the actual code like what's just one of the weird quirks about this game is. So thanks for sticking around, and thank you again, Sauraen. So
sure, my pleasure.
See you.